Hi again, it's Keith, Creations by Cam. Call me the jewelry guy if you want to, that's fine. Today I'm going to show you, I'm going to wrap a stone. Now, previously I've done bracelets, a couple of rings, earrings. What I really enjoy, well, I enjoy doing it all, but what I really want to show you though is how to wrap a stone, or how I wrap stones. I went ahead and did some preliminary steps. I cut the wires, I measured everything, but I'll explain how I do that. You take a stone like this. I cut this and polished it myself. It's kind of nice. I like it. It's kind of pretty. And you take a piece of tape. I use painter's tape, and I use I think it's 3M. No, it's Scotch. It's Scotch Blue, what they call Scotch Blue. That's the one that I had the most luck with because it just doesn't stick too much to the stone, doesn't make a mess. Anyway, so you take a thin piece of that and you start at the top and you wrap all the way around the stone with tape. Okay, that will give you the circumference of your stone. All right, so then you take that piece off and you measure it. Now this was 4 3/4. So you measure that, and that shows you how big around your stone is. You multiply that by 2 and then add 2. So basically I multiplied by 2, 4 3/4 times 2 is 9 1/2. And then add the 2, and that's 11 1/2. So I cut out, for this stone I'm going to use four pieces of wire. I use 24 gauge solid sterling silver, argentium silver wire, square, half hard. That holds the shape better. It gives you a little bit more tension, and it's just nice to work with. So I've got 11 1/2 inches. I've used 4 pieces of wire to wrap this with. Some stones, if they're thicker around the edges, I'll use more. If they're thinner, I'll use less. So it depends on the thickness of the stone. All right, so I've gone ahead and made marks on I don't know if you can see them, but there are marks. I measure the marks based on how I want to wrap this thing. So let's go back to this and I'll kind of show you. If you see here on this, I don't know if you can see that. Yes, you can see that. You see where there's a little circle right here? All right, so I've designed this so I'm going to wrap it so that will kind of be a highlight. So it depends on how you do it, but generally speaking, you just go to the half point mark on your tape. So you have to be pretty good at math with fractions, which I'm not, so sometimes I guess and kind of get it close. So you get to the half point, you make 2 marks, which are pretty about maybe 1/4 of an inch away from each other. That's going to be your central wrap. You want to wrap your wires together. So then you go out and you say, okay, I want to go from here. I want to go out to a certain length on here. You kind of make the marks. What I do is I make the marks before I take the tape off the stone. That gives me an idea where they're going to be. So that'll take me where I want to put that in the next wrap, and then up here is the top wrap, which I'll show you what all that does. So I went ahead and did that prior to turning on my record, because that takes a little while. It takes a little while to get the math right. It takes a little while to, unless you're a fraction whiz, which I'm not. And I went ahead and wrapped the center wrap, because that's the key. And you wrap the center wrap and you tighten that right down. You clamp it right down so that it stays where it is, because you don't want that to move. So the next thing you do, and again, I've got little marks that correspond with the marks on my tape. Yeah, you can see that. I don't know if you can see it, but yeah, you can see it. So you can see little marks on there. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take my wire. This is 22 gauge. It's a little bit bigger, but not much bigger than the 24. Not much thicker. This is half round argentium sterling silver, and it's also half hard. And I'm going to place it underneath there. I don't know if you can how well you can see that. I'm going to place it. It's hard for me to twist my hands around here. Twist it, and I'm going to put one little mark like that. Okay, right on the mark. Okay, see how that is? And then I'm going to wrap it around and around and around until I reach the other mark. Okay, there we go. So I'm at the other mark. So I'm not going to tighten these guys down because they might move as I work the wire. I am going to twist that wire back though, because it's trying to twist on its own here. So kind of work the wire, and wire will do that, especially the square wire. Some people prefer working with just half round. I prefer the square just because I've had better luck with it. I haven't had a lot of luck actually doing this part with half round. It just doesn't work for me. I don't know why, but some people prefer it the other way. So let's go. I'm going to go ahead and cut that off. And now I'm going to do the other wraps. Basically the same thing. I'm going to hit the other marks. Basically doing the same thing. And I might have to go back and wrap that guy. Let's see. Let's see. I'm going to have to, oh, there he is. Okay. Yep, he's there. All right. Mumble to myself all the time. So I'm going to lay this down here like this. I'm going to lay this stone right here. Just remember, what I'm trying to do is go this way, actually. Trying to wrap it so that I can use these wraps. Yep, it is. Okay, now I'm going to take the stone and take the wires and wrap up and around. It's really hard to see with the way I've got the camera, and even though you measure, sometimes the measurements can be deceptive. So let's see. All right, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to bend the inside wire like that, and kind of make a little bracket for it. Okay, like that. See how that is? And do the same thing here. Be really careful not to grab two wires. You grab two wires and then you have a mess. So grab him. Here we go. That's better. Review. So do that, and then I'll clamp this wire down to keep that where I want it. Right. Okay, that's what's going to happen. Is that's going to cradle the rock in there, and it's going to hold the stone in. I don't use glue. Don't use cement of any kind. Never have. Don't need to. If you get the tension of the wire correct and get everything set up right, you don't need to. Okay, so that's good there. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the next guy, next one of the wires here, and I'm going to do this. Same thing, same idea. I'm going to do a little bit before the wrap, because otherwise I might have it up too far. So that takes that, put it in there like that. Because sometimes the stone just doesn't want to do what you want it to do, and there's not a lot you can do about it. You just have to be flexible. Sometimes you have a design in mind, and things are going to turn out a little bit differently than you want. And then we got that, and that's good. That's the whole frame of it. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take these two guys up here. You see how I've got these wires here? I've wrapped that. I'm going to bring those up just a bit, make them a little bit taller so they'll do what I want them to do. And I'm going to straighten them out like this. I'm going to make them come together like that at the very top. Now you can see this guy wants to come around here. And we're going to let it do pretty much what it wants to do as long as the stone is in there solidly. And I'll work with it afterwards to kind of make it a little bit more unique. Well, they're all... So what I do at the end of that is I tighten these little guys up. I'm going to move him down a little bit. Unless if you don't have strong fingernails, don't do it that way. Use one of your pliers. But my fingernails are pretty strong, and so I'm going to tighten those. I'm going to clamp those down so they're locked in place. All right, so they don't move. Okay. So now I'm going to take a longer piece of wire, and I'm going to start wrapping around just above these two wraps there, and it's going to be kind of messy at first because I have to just do it so it'll set down in there. Okay, so I don't know how well you can see that, but you can see how I'm wrapping up in there, and then I'm going to do one more wrap, and then I'm going to come over here, and I'm going to push him down, straighten him out a little bit. I'm going to try to pull this guy down as much as I possibly can. All right, like that. Yep, that'll work. Then I want to lock this in place as much as it will lock in place, because again, wire is going to do what wire is going to do, but I can lock it in place pretty much. Okay, so now I have two ends of the wire sticking out here like this. See, that's on purpose. And this is pretty well locked in. What I'm going to do now is take both of these sides here and spread them down like this, and spread them down like that. Okay, so I've got like a little, almost a T shape. Because, yeah, you should. All right, so I'm going to take this. What I need to do is I need to make the bezel. So I'm going to take two from each side. I'll take one from each side because I'm going to do something different. And maybe I'll do two. Yeah, I'll do two. Two from each side. Or maybe two from that side and one from this side. You decide what you want to do when and if you do this, if you dare. Sometimes the stone just tells you what it wants to do. So I'm going to bend this over like this. Okay, I don't like that. That's not right. There we go. That should be in the middle. Okay, there we go. I'm going to bend this over. This is where we're going to make our bezel. All right. Now I got a little bit of a problem here, but I can fix that. I'm going to bring that wire back over there. Got to get it between these two wires, okay? Because you're going to hold it in place with those two wires. Take this guy and wrap him around to hold that in place, okay? See how it's working? I'll wrap it down, and wrap it down, and wrap it down, and wrap it down. One more wrap around, and then we're gonna tighten it up. So here's all wrapped around. See, I'm gonna take these two wires and I'm gonna twist them together and try to see it. So do it so you guys can see what's going on here. Okay, I'm gonna twist it, make it as tight as I possibly can. There we go. Okay, now you got a problem back here. Well, not really a problem. It's something you have to take care of. You got to cut this up. You can't cut it off too close. If you cut it off too close, it's going to come unwrapped. So what you have to do is cut it off about like that, maybe 1/16 of an inch or something. And a lot of people have trouble figuring out what to do with this little guy. So what I do is I'll bend him up like this, kind of bend him up a little. Okay. And I will take these wires, and I'll try to make them as even as possible. There's three wires left over. So what I'm going to try to do is try to make them as even as possible. Yeah, close enough. And I will take the two outside wires, and I'll kind of spread them across like this, spread like that. I will do something different with this guy. I'm not sure what I'm going to do yet, but I will do something with him. I may cut him off. I don't know. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my little round nose pliers here, and I'm going to curl him up, if I can get him just right here. I won't make it too big. I'm going to curl him around like that, okay? And now I'm going to make a little design. Just use the wire from Michael's or I don't like that. that's fine. That'll be all right. So you see what I'm doing is making a little curly cube kind of a thing here. I usually like to have it a little bit tighter than that, but oh well. Today's not a day that the wire wants to cooperate much. That could be me. That could be me, not the wire. Wire is just wire. It's not. All right, so when I get it up, feels right. I try to make the back look decent. I've seen stuff that looks really nice in the front, and then you turn around the back, and the back is a mess. That doesn't please me when I see that. It's like, you should be able to wear this from both sides. That's my philosophy. I'm trying to make it so that you can wear it frontward and backwards. It shouldn't matter which side you show. They should both look nice. That is my thought. So what I try to do is try to make it that way. And sometimes I succeed and sometimes I don't. But I try to make it at least professional so that it doesn't look like it's just half finished. If you know what I mean. So I'm going to bring him up around. I'm going to put him to the side like that and lock him in place. Kind of twist him like that. I don't want to lose that guy though. There we go. Okay, and I'm going to try to do the same thing with that one. And I do use a knife. There's a special kind of knife that you can get for this type of work. Actually, it's really just a watchmaker's knife, which is good for that. But I prefer using a different kind of knife. And I have not yet, and hopefully won't ever, cut myself with that knife. Although it's a sharp little knife, I try to keep it sharp. It's a knife I got up on top of Mount Washington in New Hampshire, as a matter of fact. I bought it, and I liked the knife, and I decided to use it in what I do, which is kind of cool. All right, so that's fine. I'm going to squeeze that down just a bit. You got to be careful when you start squeezing, too, because you don't want to mark up your stone. Okay, so that's not bad. It's okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this guy, and I'm going to bring these guys around like this to make a little design like that. All right, I'm going to bring it up and around like that. Kind of do that. I'm going to cut this way. Okay, so I'm going to take him, and I'm going to do the same thing with him that I did over here with this guy. It's going to be kind of behind the scenes here. So, and like this. Bend him back in this, make sure he's okay. Go like this, there we go. Anyway, that's basically it. So now you've got a wrapped stone. So I hope you enjoyed that, was able to see a little bit more than some of my hands get in the way, but that's, yeah, it is what it is. So anyway, hope you enjoyed that. And remember, Creations by Cam. I do have something coming up that I think you'll really like. It's going to be a little bit of chainmail. It's a bracelet, and it's called the Helm Weave. Oh, I didn't show you this too. Let me do this. Do the Helm Weave, and that's a very simple weave for chainmail. It's very easy to do, and we'll show you that, and then we'll show you, give you a little bit of something, or give you a little bit of an opportunity. All right, so that's it. Thanks. Bye.